Hey, Walking Dead fans, way back in the beginning, the very first scene we saw in season 1, episode 1, is Rick pulling up in his cop car and going down to that gas station to look for some gas. And of course, that's where he meets the little girl, Summer. It's definitely an iconic opening scene, but that gas can, all through the series up to season 9, they've pretty much found gas and had gas because it's just a couple years into the apocalypse.
Most of the bridges are out after the big storm. The highway's done. We've scavenged every drop of gas for miles.
So now we're in season 9, and right before the 6-year time jump, Daryl had some words to say to Rick at the sanctuary when he was telling him that he didn't want to be the leader anymore. He also said, man, the bridges are out. The roads are all bad. We can't make enough fuel for the trucks and the cars. Pretty soon it's going to be a day's ride in between the communities.
We can't make enough corn fuel to run the cars or the trucks. Pretty soon it's going to be more than a day's ride from one spot to another.
So when they had cars, they definitely got in between the communities faster, but now they went to horseback. It's taking them a little bit longer. But let's talk about the distance between the communities in The Walking Dead. But as always with the show, you got to suspend your belief a little bit because the distances are loosely adhered to. It's whatever the plot needs. But there's times that the group made it to another community on foot in a few hours, but the same journey takes them half a day in the RV. But there's so many instances that it just doesn't work out time-wise as far as they're traveling. A horse can travel a really good distance in a day's time. Pulling a wagon on bad roads, that could take a little longer. Okay, one thing we learned in season 8 when they were planning the all-out war, Negan showed a map and it showed Hilltop pretty much around Culpeper, Virginia. And that's a pretty good ways away from Alexandria, Virginia, as you can see on the map. Culpeper is way down there in the left-hand corner, with Alexandria and Washington, D.C. being kind of right in the middle of the map. Okay, so the community of Alexandria is supposedly in Alexandria, Virginia, and that's just a few miles from Washington, D.C. Of course, the landscape is more urban in the real Alexandria, Virginia. You would have to drive probably 30 minutes out to get to any type of location setting like it shows in the show for Alexandria. But like I say, suspended belief. And going on Hilltop, of course, in Culpeper. So that would be by car around 1.5 hours. And I think by foot you could make it in a day. By horse you still should get there pretty quick. But of course in the show it stretches it out sometimes. So in the comics it states that Hilltop is 20 miles from Alexandria. And if you see Culpeper on the map here, that's longer than 20 miles. So if it's going to take an hour and a half by car, that's more like 75 miles or so. But if it's correct and Hilltop is in Culpeper, then Alexandria and Hilltop is a pretty good distance away. Even though the comic said 20 miles, as far as our real maps are looking at it, it's more like 70 miles. Okay, the kingdom, it's located in a high school and is said to be about 12 to 15 miles from Alexandria. King Ezekiel said in All Out War that they were going to meet at Alexandria so they would be closer to the sanctuary when they made the attack. They would just leave from Alexandria. So that tells us that wherever the sanctuary is, that it's closer to Alexandria than it is to the kingdom. But we've also been told that the sanctuary is in the metro area of DC. And it's about 10 to 12 miles from Alexandria and should be around 85 miles from Hilltop. And some have speculated that it's in the Arlington area. But about the best facts that we have is that the kingdom is 12 to 15 miles from Alexandria, most likely in a different direction than the sanctuary is 10 to 12 miles from Alexandria. And the junkyard, which shouldn't be a location anymore, was kind of close to Alexandria. And of course, Oceanside, which should come back into play, I would think, in the either last half of season 9 or in season 10, because Oceanside is really just a old trailer park. So they could just be somewhere along there at the Potomac River. They could be down around the Chesapeake Bay. It could be Virginia Beach, around that area. That's a long way away from Alexandria. And because everybody's on horseback these days, that could be another good reason why Oceanside is not around very much anymore. They're just so far away. but the park being called Oceanside, I would say it's down more toward Virginia Beach, Chesapeake Bay area, but it could be across the peninsula, across over by Ocean City, somewhere over there on that ocean side of the continent. We just don't have a real good bearing on where it is, but I'm going to say it's south of Alexandria, somewhere along the Potomac River or Chesapeake Bay. But like I say, you've got to kind of take it with a grain of salt. Sometimes they stretch it, sometimes they spin it. You just got to look at what the plot was asking for that episode and just know that it's loosely adhered to wherever these communities end up being. But that should give you a good idea, a little more perspective on where the communities are and when they had gas, how long it took to get to the communities versus now when they're just on horseback, how long it's going to take, and how that could factor into the issues that they're having in the early part of season 9. But definitely let me know anything I've left out, some more information you guys may know that I did not include here, some things from the comics or the show that might point to something. It's just a discussion to kind of figure it out a little bit. I have seen a link to a Google map that shows some of those locations, but I don't know if they're all in the right place or not, or if they're even all included. It's something fun to think about, but definitely something that helps as you watch the show kind of put in perspective of where everything is and where it's all happening at. So check out the rest of the channel. As always, thanks for watching, and don't forget to subscribe for more dead stuff.